Masechet Brachot Davav Amar Ravin Bar Ada Amar Rav Yitzchak. Minayin shekadosh Baruch Hu matzoi v'Beit Knesset. How do we know that God's presence is felt in a Beit Knesset, in a shul? Shenemar, because it says in the Tehillim, Elokim nitzav ba'adas ke'el, that God stands in the congregation of God. And the Beit Knesset, even aside from the people davening in the shul, a Beit Knesset is a place of God's congregation where He Himself allows people to connect with Him. And how do we know that when 10 people are davening together, the Shchina, God's presence, is made to be felt amongst them? Shenemar, because it says Elokim nitzav ba'adas ke'el, the same exact pasuk to be interpreted instead of in the congregation, meaning the place of the congregation, but in the actual congregation, even without the place. So 10 people who are davening, God's Shchina is there. How do we know that when 3 people are sitting in judgment, that the Shchina is there? Shenemar b'kerev Elohim yishpot, that God will judge, that we will judge in the midst of God. And here, even though the literal meaning of the pasuk is that God, is that the word Elohim is the judges, the midrashic interpretation is that God's actual Shechina is present in the midst of the judges. How do we know that when 2 people are learning Torah, God is there as well? Shenemar oz nidbru yirei Hashem ish are'ehu, that then those who fear God will speak, nidbru will speak, ish el re'ehu, one to the other. Vayakshev Hashem, and God will hear, and God, meaning God is present, listening to the 2 people learning Torah. As a side point, the pasuk concluded u'lechoshvei shemo, which was my l'choshvei shemo. What does the reference mean? L'choshvei shemo. Amar Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi explains that even if chashav adam lasos mitzvah, that a person intends to do a mitzvah, v'ne'enas, and something beyond his control occurs that makes him unable to do the mitzvah, v'lo asa, and didn't do it, ma'ale alav akasuv ki'ilu asa, that the Torah makes it as if he actually did the mitzvah, u'lechoshvei shemo, that God's presence is present when we think of His name, meaning we intend and plan to do the mitzvah, even if it doesn't come to fruition, God's still present there. How do we know therefore then that God is there even if only one person is learning Torah? In any place where I will have my name mentioned, I will come to bless you. So in other words, anywhere, even one person, where it's mentioned, Azkir, where it's mentioned. Now the Gemara asks, why is it necessary to teach us that God's presence with 10 people, and then 3 people, then 2 people, then even one person? It's just say the final halacha. Afilu chad, trei mi baya. Why do we need to say 2, 3, etc.? So the Gemara responds that when there are 2 people, michtav van milayu b'sefer zichronos. Not only is God present, but the pasuk says in the continuation of that pasuk that God writes it in the Sefer Zichronos, in His book. Chad, with one person, God comes, but lo michtav an milei b'sefer Zichronos. This matter is not written in His book of Zichronos. So therefore, we have to teach 1 and 2 because there's a qualitative difference between God's presence in 1 and God's presence in 2. And now that we know that God is there with 1 and 2, why is it necessary to add the case of 3? Mahu detema, because I would have thought dina shlama ba'alma hu v'lo asya shchina. I would have thought that din, that judgment, is shalom ba'alma. When judges judge, they're not learning Torah. They're just trying to get 2 people to get along in a conflict. The Shchina doesn't come for that. The Shchina comes when we're learning the words of God, the Torah. But trying to apply it in a way that will bring peace between 2 people maybe is not the same qualitative experience, spiritual experience, and the Shechina doesn't come. Therefore, we need to be taught, Kamash Malan. It comes to teach us. Dina nami Hainu Torah. That judgment also is a form of Torah, a spiritual experience of Torah, bringing peace between people, and therefore the Shchina is present with the three judges. Now that we know that the Shchina is there with three, Asara Mebaya, why do we need to teach us 10? So here the Gemara responds, Asara has a greater qualitative experience. Kadma Shchina v'Asya, the Shchina comes before the minyan to be present. Tlasa Adiyase, with 3, implying 3, 2, and 1. Only after they sit down and start engaging in the experience of learning or judging does the Shchina come. But 10, the Shchina is waiting for the minyan to come. What the Gemara doesn't highlight but implies is that there's an equation between learning Torah and davening. That davening in the case of 10 and learning Torah in the case of 1 and 2 and 3 are all equal in that the Shechina is present for both. And probably the reason is because davening is an experience of communicating with God. When it says the Shechina comes when we daven, it means that we're connecting to God through the tefillah. And in the same way, when we learn Torah, as demonstrated in the case of 1, 2, and 3, we're also communicating with God, because when we learn Torah, we're listening to God's words, as opposed to when we daven, when we are speaking to God. Together, we have a communication with God and a connection and a relationship with Him.